Welcome, everyone, to the Texas Grassroots Alliance live stream. Today is March 21st, 2024. Happy Thursday to all. We're going to have a shorter conversation, but a lively one because of the content we're going to be talking about. Once again, I'm Alexander Montalvo with the GAP Network, here with Neil Aquino with the Houston Democracy Project, and Ricardo Guerrero out of Austin, Texas, a part of the Texas Grassroots Alliance as well. Grassroots organizers all here. Neil, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about SB4, the repressive, oppressive, show me your papers, empowering law enforcement agents anywhere from El Paso to Beaumont, from the Panhandle down to the border, to stop anyone they don't like the looks of and ask them, hey, where were you born?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of developments around SB4. Ricardo, this is your first time joining the TGA live stream.
Yeah.
So I want to give you a chance to say hello to the audience. Go for it.
Yeah, hi from Austin, Texas, and also want to say happy, good Ramadan to our Muslim brothers and sisters. They make up a quarter of the population of the world, and they are going through Ramadan right now. And we, of course, our thoughts are not only with the folks whose lives were impacted by the October 7th attacks in Israel, but also the genocide that's happening in Gaza right now, the overreaction to that event. Yeah, so here in Austin, Texas, I've been a part of Indivisible Texas 17 when that happened right after the Trump's election, and have been somewhat involved in politics, political organizing since then. Right now, currently, mostly as a member of the Texas Grassroots Alliance. Happy to be here.
All right, very good.
So it looks like 9 hours, Texas had their absolutely racist SB4 bill able to be implemented. And then it was, blocked once again from being implemented. There's been a lot of communication around this amongst grassroots organizers, amongst different organizations. And from y'all's perspective, what do you feel like the I guess the tone of these conversations are right now, and what are some of the things that are coming out of it based on this flip-flopping of this being in place or not?
Right.
Well, I'd like to start just to say, I was looking up information to maybe share about SB4 and get flat on exactly what's going on. I looked up the ACLU's website, and the first thing that's going on their website is, as they're explaining it, the beginning of every paragraph is SB4 is not in effect at the moment. SB4 is not in effect at the moment. They're kind of making it clear, though, at the moment. So it's like any moment, that could change. So I think that's one of the critical things that we want to make sure that people know. It's not in effect, but we need to be active to make sure it doesn't go into effect.
Right. And so grassroots organizers, and I think they're struggling for a reaction. Or activists connected to nonprofits, perfectly good people, but we've been through all these things before with the attacks on trans folks, on voting rights, on abortion rights, and all this. It's finding that right course forward can be difficult, but then sometimes in activist circles and in activists in the broader sense, including those activists connected to elected officials, sometimes the response can be a little bureaucratic, or can be as linked to the needs of the organization, which are important, but as they are linked to the cause that they're fighting. And so sometimes I think that a quick, creative, imaginative, forceful, to use, Alex, something you said to me, action that then creates further action, that's sometimes lacking and hard to get when we kick off, excuse the football analogy, when we start these reactions.
Yeah, so one thing that we always talk about in these conversations is we always want to center for folks what are the grassroots organizers' perspective around this work. And I think what you just highlighted, Neil, is something really important. So we have some organizations that do have resources,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those organizations that have resources are regularly talking to elected officials
Right.
around getting their perspective. And within those organizations, some of those are politically motivated, so they are thinking about what is the political move to be able to try to gain support for them on the political stage, right?
Right.
And so there's a hesitancy that we see sometimes with that. In other organizations that are have resources, we still see a hesitancy because what what is it going to mean in terms of what they can do with the other slate of work they have, or what are the other considerations they're hearing from people who are in the know. And so that bureaucratic type feeling is very, very real when you talk to our colleagues who are in these larger organizations. Now, on the flip side, grassroots organizers are always ready to take action, and a lot of times when they're in collaboration with these large organizations, they can be encouraged to wait, or to hold off on taking action until there's a I guess united response, or more understood response, or whatever that is.
Right.
That definitely frustrates grassroots organizers. But the other thing that grassroots organizers are struggling with is resources. If they decide to take action and they rally people to come to a particular spot in the public, or they decide to do something in the press, or they decide to do something to start reaching out to community members, resources are always limited for grassroots organizers. So it's a constant calculation of how much can we do, what can we do. And I think the big thing we want to encourage all grassroots organizers is that no matter how small the action, if we are connected with each other and we are sharing each other's actions, then we get to amplify and magnify those actions larger than maybe what they had started out as.
Right.
And so action
Right.
will lead to action, but we need people to continue to take action to let Texans know that this racist bill is not something that is a a boogeyman that is not actually real, but is very, very, very real. And I think, Neil, something that we've talked about, and Ricardo, I'd love to get your thoughts on this too, is that there's a lot of focus on this particular bill, whether it's going to get enforced and what challenges there are, but there's not a conversation around what Republicans are trying to do against brown people in this country. And this singular tactic, whether stopped or whether permitted, is part of a larger picture that they're trying to do to try to oppress people in Texas and in America if they have brown skin, especially if they're from the Latino community with this particular bill, but overall, anyone with brown skin. So, what are y'all's thoughts when y'all look at that?
Yeah, it's the typical divide and conquer and stoke fear. Been working with some elder folks, and one couple is just watching Fox News 24/7, and literally, at one point the wife asked me, "You're not illegal, are you?" I'm like, "I'm brown skin from Colombia, but I'm legal. What are you kidding?" I mean, and it's because it's just that. It's just constant fear, fear, fear as a way to divide. And there always has to be, the best way to unite themselves is there's got to be somebody that we're against. So right now it's immigrants. Before, 10 years ago it was gay people, and then that was gay marriage was legalized, and so they kind of stole that thunder. So then they moved on to transgender. But there's always somebody to go and make the bad guy in the conservative circles.
And I'll say, I'll say two things. In terms of the reaction, and this is Texas Grassroots Alliance, a live stream for our audience. We do these shows twice a week. This is our 6th week, I believe, of doing it. We have different formats, different lengths, different guests, different topics with different TGA leaders from across the state, areas big and small. You can donate, and please do. Grassroots leaders need funding. So, and you can go to my HoustonDemocracyProject.com and check out the daily content, daily blog, and efforts to start a democracy movement, or aid and assist, excuse me, a democracy movement in Houston of all the many people who care. So what I would say is two things. In terms of reaction, This is our 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th go round with these horrible policies coming from the state. And so sometimes it seems when you're connecting with that, I was on a call of activists, and they were, excellent people doing a lot of good work. But it always seems that we're fumbling for the response, fumbling for the proactive step when we've been here 10 times before. So, we need a new playbook, an updated playbook, a more aggressive playbook, a more inclusive playbook. And then also I'd say, in part of what about Republican plans, right? SB4 will or will not, prevail. And then Trump will or not be elected. Trump is clear, and they are dead serious that there will be migrant roundups, migrant camps, mass migrant deportations. The Mexican government was saying yesterday or 2 days ago, hey, we're not going to take, well, you have a significant portion of the Republican Party saying, let's go to war with Mexico under the pretense of fentanyl. Okay. So the institutional answer, for example, Mayor Whitmire here in Houston, who's against it? Who's against SB4? He is, and he voted against it. And I think in his heart is against it. But Mayor Whitmire in a press conference last month was asked about SB4. First, he said, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not constitutional. Right, sure. And then he said, where would you put them all? Where would you put all the people? Well, here's where you'd put them. You'd put them in a damn camp. You put them in a camp that you build. They're building an 80-acre camp, migrant detention camp. Michelle Davis, a TGA member, Lone Star Left, has been sounding the alarm about this very effectively. You put the people in the camp. That's where you put them, and you build the camp. And as Alex suggested to me earlier, and then that camp comes with contracts and loot, and it, like the private prison system, like the charter school, right? And no, if your kid's in a charter school, I'm not saying you put it in a prison, but once these new things come, they become sources of money. And the Republicans are not. And I don't believe what you're seeing as the Republican states challenge the Supreme Court and federal authority that if Biden wins, he may well, they'll start deporting people anyway. They'll say we're being invaded. And you've seen the Supreme Court, they almost gutted Obamacare. Remember? Oh, no, there's no reason they're going to, but it survives 5-4 and they strip out important provisions. They're not going to overturn Roe. 50 years of precedents with Roe. Done. They're coming for everything. They'll do anything. And it's important that we conceive that and that we impart that upon our leaders who, giving them the benefit of the doubt, which you don't have to, but giving them the benefit of the doubt on our side of the aisle, they can't institutionally conceive it. They've invested their lives, their careers, their morality, their relationship, their prosperity, the hours of their lives in these systems, and they just can't believe there's going to be a camp. But there's going to be a camp.
Yeah, I think this is important that that folks really understand the local aspect to all of this. You brought up Mayor Whitmire in Houston. I'm here in Tarrant County and in Fort Worth. Ricardo's in Travis County and in Austin. And it's really important for grassroots organizers, for people to understand how grassroots organizers help make the local connections, because there's going to be fights that we have to have locally because of the decisions people are going to make based on state law or based on even a Trump presidency, right? So we focus a lot on the national scene. We focus on our governor a lot, but it's really important for us to stay focused on what local leaders are going to do. So in Tarrant County, we know we have the Tarrant County jail that is killing people over and over because of the way people are treated in there. We know the jails are being filled by community members struggling with mental health who, if they got a misdemeanor and would have served 10 days in jail if they were sentenced, they're being held 140 days until they have their trial, right? And this is on purpose because this is making people money. This is helping them make a claim that they need more resources to build more jails. And that's exactly what's happening in Tarrant County. They're giving more resources to build more facilities. And we have to understand that this is not just for the local folks in terms of what they're doing right now, but this is in preparation and coordination with this anti-immigrant perspective that Republicans are putting in, and the fear that they're putting around immigrants. So being connected locally is key, and this is why we need local grassroots organizers to be able to sift through what's happening, to be able to fight this on multiple fronts. But this all goes back to action, right? And the big question is, what do we do about this?
Yeah.
How do we make an impact around this? And I know I have my thoughts around what actions we can take, but want to see what do you guys think in terms of what are some actions that grassroots organizers you see taking, the actions they want to take, and how community members can take action as well.
One thing that comes to my mind is that being brown, I can take an action in that I can, if I have ever, it's like putting myself at risk, essentially, putting myself in that position of being asked and being, yo no hablo inglés, and not giving my papers and just waiting to see, hey, making it, putting myself in those shoes to say, look, I'm totally here legally, and I'm not going to play your game, and we're going to advertise that, promote it, and show people, hey, here's what can happen to anybody. You just happen to have the wrong color skin, they're coming after you, and then let that play out so that we can use that as a way of really differentiating, really highlighting. I think that the thing is we got to cut through the majority of people aren't following politics as closely as we are. They don't even know what's going on. They maybe hear something about, I don't know what this SB4. Oh, it's not in effect. Okay, I don't have to worry about it. Now, this is something if we can find a way to highlight it, to get the breaks through that noise and really makes it real for people. That's my thought.
Right. So what we can do is, first of all, we can ask our elected officials, right? People don't know about it. No. So for example, I called, no one answered. I'm gonna call again. My next state senator may well be State Representative Jarvis Johnson. I live in Senate District 15, and that's a vacant seat at the moment. Jarvis Johnson, to my knowledge, I may have missed it, has not said anything about SD 15, despite the fact it's a 40% Latino district. And it's really amazing. And it's also amazing. It's amazing that other Latino, or doesn't matter. I'm not Latino, but I care about the issue. And that other Democratic electeds didn't call I'm promoting it, Representative Johnson, and say, hey, what's with that? And so I think one thing we can do is ask our elected officials to sound the alarm. We can press our elected officials to be involved. They will not be involved unless we compel them. Most of them won't. A few of them will. Most of them won't. No matter how their status. And it's not conspiratorial. I'm not telling you they're evil people. It doesn't matter. Their status is connected to the systems bringing the authoritarianism, and they won't break with it in most cases until it's goring their ox. It's goring, right? Whatever, and that makes me want to look up the origin of that term. And they won't. And so you can, when you see an organizer on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, you can reach out to that individual. You can say, hey, how can I help? How can I participate in your action? How can I send you a few bucks? You can have a conversation with a family member or friend. Hey, this is going on. Did you know this? You can look at a mirror or dot in a diary. What situations could occur? How will I respond? What are my moral actions? The history books are full of people who said, boy, I wish I had done something in 1932. There are all sorts of actions that individuals, everyone is empowered, everyone is capable, everyone is smart, and everyone is capable of actions, and they're capable of them now. And one of the points of programs like this, as we wrap up, is to tell folks that folks just like you can engage in action. And you don't have to be an activist or an organizer. or you are inherently one. Once you do even anything, you have that. Well, however you want to define it, I don't care. But you have that power.
Yeah, so I think that's so key. I think both what y'all said, about challenging this process, being available to challenge this process if you are in a position that can challenge that, like what you were saying, Ricardo. And I think Neil, challenging our elected officials and understanding that every action that we can take is going to matter. And I think this is so important to kind of help us close out this conversation, is that this is a fight against infrastructure. Right now, you're seeing the governor of Texas and local officials in Texas take actions to build infrastructure.
Correct.
They're at the commissioner's court passing budgets. They are in the media putting out content. They are creating community spaces to talk about this issue that they think is what people should be focused on, um, and on and on and on. And they are implementing their goals by utilizing their infrastructure. So in response, we really need everyone to think intentionally about how do we build our infrastructure to fight this. I know we want a silver bullet. We want to just stop it, and we just want to stop them. But we need everyone to understand, regardless of SB4, regardless of Trump, they are not stopping.
No.
They are building an infrastructure to see their goals through whatever mechanism they can make that happen. And so we have to fight that with infrastructure ourselves. And so infrastructure, when it comes to grassroots organizing, we talk about the key aspect is relationships. We must build relationships with each other. We must get connected with each other. Okay, so if you are wanting to take action around this work, the first thing you can do is identify who you can connect with and connect with them and have this conversation and ask how they are doing actions within your community. I want to definitely amplify what Neil's saying about contact your elected official. Ask them locally, what are you going to do about SB4?
Ask them over and over.
What are you going to do? What are you doing? And how are you letting the community know that this is a threat to them, right? And then the other aspect that we always talk about is resources. And so if you want to take action, you can help support grassroots organizers in your community. You can identify who they are. If you want help in identifying who's doing work in your community, you can always let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and we will connect you. And like we've already shared, you can also donate to the Texas Grassroots Alliance, because we will get resources to organizers so they can keep doing their work, so they can keep having the autonomy to take action, and we can keep building infrastructure. This is not something that's going to go away overnight. This is going to be something that we have to continue to fight for years to come, if not decades. And we need people to understand that every action you can take right now helps us get to the solution quicker, no matter how small or how big. And we need everyone participating.
Yeah. Silence is allowing it to happen. Silence is, they came for the gays. They didn't say anything. They came for the intellectuals. They didn't say anything. They came for the Jews, and it was too late. We can't let that happen. We are the cavalry. There's no silver bullet. No one's going to save us. We save ourselves, and we save our brothers and sisters.
And so if you watch the show, watch it, share it. Be cognizant of future broadcasts. We'll be back on the air sooner rather than later. And Texas Grassroots Alliance, and we are building a communications, intellectual, support, action, network, financial network of empowerment. And we're building it and building it. And we're going to be, as we are now, a significant force at election time and after, which is going to be a real ride.
Well, thanks, Neil. Thanks, Ricardo, for joining us this first time. Looking forward to future TGA live streams with both of you. And let's keep going, right? Just like Neil said. Thanks, everyone.